Located in Eastern Europe, Moldova has historically been the poorest nation on the continent. There are multiple factors on why the nation has struggled economically. Let's explore them and try to come up with solutions on how Moldova can become more prosperous in this week's episode. As a nation, Moldova's history dates back over 650 years and is quite complex and intricate. The Principality of Moldavia was established in 1348, playing a crucial role in the region's defense against Ottoman expansion. Despite being a vassal at times to neighbors such as the Ottoman Empire and Poland, it managed to retain a degree of autonomy. Starting in the 16th century, Moldavia became a tributary state to the Ottoman Empire, but maintained considerable internal autonomy in its own legal system. In 1859, the Principalities of Moldavia and Wallachia united, forming the basis of modern Romania. The eastern part of Moldavia, however, remained under Ottoman and then Russian control, leading to a split in the historical Moldovan territories. After a brief period of independence following the Russian Revolution, Moldova was annexed by the Soviet Union in 1940 as a Moldavian Soviet Socialist Republic, following the secret provisions of the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. It remained part of the USSR until the latter's dissolution, suffering significant Russification and other Soviet policies during this time. Moldova declared independence from the Soviet Union on August 27, 1991, following the failed Soviet coup d'etat attempt. Since then, it has faced challenges related to economic transition, political instability, and the unresolved status of Transnistria, a breakaway region in the east of the country. While Moldova was Europe's poorest nation for the longest time, it's not nowadays because of the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war, which has deteriorated Ukraine's already fragile economy. Still, Moldova is significantly poorer than Western, Southern, Northern, and even strong economic Eastern European nations. In this week's episode, we are going to review the economic hardships of Moldova. First, we'll discuss the economic data associated with the nation. Then we'll explore some of the reasons why Moldova is poorer compared to other European nations. Then finally, we'll come up with some solutions on how Moldova can increase their economic situation. Before we begin, if you enjoy learning about geography and earth science, you'll like the content on this channel. So be sure to subscribe to my channel, Our World, Our Planet, Our Home. Let's get started. Let's begin by talking about the current economy of Moldova. The current GDP of the nation is $42.2 billion, and the per capita income is $16,915 a year. While this makes the nation a middle-income economy, the GDP and per capita incomes have been irregular from year to year. This likely is a combination of factors, including both physical and human-induced ones. A physical issue is drought conditions that have affected the agricultural industry, one of Moldova's main economic drivers. Also, economic stagnation was created from the COVID-19 pandemic, and the nation has yet to fully recover from that. And since Moldova borders Ukraine, the Russia-Ukraine war has greatly led to economic issues such as higher inflation, which is also stagflation considering the fluctuating GDPs. Economic growth rates have been very haphazard for the last 5 years. In 2020, the GDP shrank 8.28% thanks to the worldwide pandemic. But in 2021, the year when the world started to open up again, it grew nearly 14%. Then in 2022, it shrank 5%, with a large factor being the Russia-Ukraine conflict. But by 2023, it grew 25%. While economic growth is good, it's not good when it consistently goes up and down. Some other statistics of Moldova's economy are very mixed. For one, unemployment rates are fairly low, averaging 4.6%, but youth unemployment is higher, averaging 8.6%. In 2022, the nation's inflation rate hit 28%, but by 2024, it came down to 4.6%, still somewhat high. Over 30% of Moldova's population lives below the poverty line, which means that there may be very large wealth disparities. And the credit rating for Moldova is ranked as B3, on the lower side, but not as bad as nations such as Ukraine and Venezuela. And the Human Development Index, a gauge that measures the human development of a nation regarding income, health, and education, averages 0.767, classified as high, but significantly lower than other European nations. So why is Moldova economically disadvantaged compared to other European nations? It's complicated. The complexity comes from the nation's turbulent history. Since the 14th century, Moldova has been ruled and invaded by the Poles, Hungarians, Romanians, Ottomans, and most recently the Russians. The Russians have been by far the most influential in Moldova's economic situation. In 1940, the USSR established the Moldavian Soviet Socialist Republic, which remained until 1991. In that time period, the area was economically viable in the production of vast amounts of agricultural goods, including canned foods, vegetables, fruits, and wine. After the Soviet Union collapsed, Moldova transitioned into a market economy, leading to rapid inflation and a severe economic crisis throughout the 1990s, which is still lingering today. While other absorbed Soviet republics, such as the Baltic states, had initial economic problems transitioning to capitalism, Moldova's issues never resolved, which leads to the next reason: political instability. For one, Moldova has experienced significant political instability and corruption, which affects its domestic and foreign policies. A second part of that is Russia's intentions. In February 2022, Russia invaded Ukraine because of territorial disputes, particularly in the eastern part of the nation. Transnistria, a breakaway region not recognized by Moldova, is a contentious geopolitical dispute between Moldova and Russia. The primary issues at the heart of the dispute include national identity, territorial integrity, and political allegiance. And demographically, the region is split between mainly Russians, Moldovans, and Ukrainians. Although the Transnistria issue is a frozen conflict, Russia may now see it as a motivation for them to invade Moldova to seize the territory. If this were to occur, Moldova's economy would suffer and decrease in size. Another reason is a lack of economic diversification, which could also be linked to the USSR using Moldova as an agricultural haven. Moldova's economy has been immensely reliant on agriculture, which makes it vulnerable to weather conditions and global price fluctuations. There has been limited success to diversifying the economy into more resilient sectors, such as technology or manufacturing, which could provide more stable sources of income. A demographic reason is related to similarities that occurred in other post-Soviet states. A significant portion of Moldova's working-age population has emigrated in search of better job opportunities abroad. While remittances from these workers are a crucial source of income for many families, this trend has led to a brain drain and labor shortages within the country, affecting its economic development. And a physical reason of Moldova's economic issues is being landlocked. The nation lacks access to the Black Sea by a mere 1.5 miles. Despite being landlocked, Moldova can access the Black Sea through the Ukrainian port of Odessa, which is relatively close to the Moldovan border. Regardless of not having a seaborne port, the nation does have a port on the Danube River with access to the Black Sea, which opened in 2006. Now that we've covered the reasons on why Moldova is poor, what are some solutions that can be implemented to help the nation become more prosperous? Well, this is also complicated and multifaceted. The first solution is to try to fix the political instability problem within Moldova. This is currently occurring with the election of new politicians, including President Maia Sandu and Prime Minister Dorin Rîncen. Both are pro-Western politicians who are for closer ties with Europe, fighting against corruption, and against Russia's invasion of Ukraine because of their concerns about the same happening to Moldova. If both Sandu and Rîncen are successful in achieving their goals, the next solution will be to become more integrated with the European Union. Romania joined the European Union on January 1, 2007, and since then, their GDP, per capita incomes, and human development indexes have increased. Further integration with the European Union through the deep and comprehensive free trade area could open up new markets for Moldovan products and encourage the adoption of European standards, boosting trade and investment. and possibly Moldova could become a member state in the future as it is a candidate. Another solution has to do with Moldova's main economic sector, agriculture. Since a significant portion of the nation's population relies on agriculture, modernizing this sector and promoting sustainable practices can increase productivity and rural incomes. This includes advancing agriculture technologies, which ultimately can produce higher crop yields, thus allowing more money to be generated from it. Another more far-fetched solution is for Moldova to be annexed by Romania. Moldova and Romania share deep historical and cultural ties, including a common language, history, and many traditions. While Romanian support for annexation is high, Moldovan support is mixed. On a whole, the percentage of Moldovans who said they support becoming part of Romania has risen from 20% in 2015 to 44% in 2022. But in Transnistria and Gagauzia, an autonomous zone of southern Moldova, home to the Turkic-speaking Gagauz people, support for reunifying is low. So, any type of reunification may spark tensions with the nation, hence creating possibly more economic problems. Moldova is a nation with a complex, rich history, but marked by many pressures internally and externally. Like other Eastern European nations since the end of World War II, the USSR impacted Moldova's trajectory as a society. And still today, Russia is exerting influence within the nation, particularly in the two autonomous regions of Transnistria and to a lesser extent Gagauzia. Meanwhile, Moldova's central government is becoming more Eurocentric, which can add more difficulties to the future geopolitical picture. Ultimately, Moldova may slowly become more prosperous as a nation. However, with all the issues that currently plague the nation, it's going to be a long road until it has a developed market economy. That concludes today's episode. Thank you again for watching it. If you want to leave your feedback on this video, please do so in the comment section below. And be sure to subscribe to my channel, Our World, Our Planet, Our Home, to see more content associated with geography and earth science. Until next time!